Hello everyone, welcome to Lotus Heart Tarot. I'm so happy to have you. Let's dive into your you and them reading. There's been a lot of changes planetarily. We've just had this gorgeous new moon in Cancer energy. There's just a lot going on, so let's check in. Keep in mind, guys, that when I'm talking about energy, I'm not talking about gender here. We are going to do a masculine side and a feminine side. If you are the one who typically lets the other person lead, even if you're a man or male by gender, you may still be the feminine. If you are the one that takes the lead, even if you are a female by gender, you may still be a feminine energy, right? So, and if you're not interested in love, but you're looking for more insight, you can look at this reading as the masculine and the feminine sides of yourself and how they're coming into balance with one another, okay? So, Spirit, can you please show us what the masculine energy is for Pisces? Okay. And can you please show us what is the feminine? Okay. Ooh. Wow. What a clear picture this is giving me. It feels as though this feminine has kind of turned her back on things. You know, it seems like she really has figured out who she is and is sort of in her own, I just got era. What I meant to say was energy, but like era is what really wanted to come out. Maybe this is the feminine's era. I don't know. But it's like, you know, I kind of know who I am and I'm not afraid to be who I am. And, you know, I'm not gonna stay in places that don't accept me as I am. I'm recognizing that the places and the people that don't accept me or don't want me for me, you know? And I'm more than happy to leave those spaces, but I'm not gonna not be me to stay. And I definitely get that with this flamingo spirit. So it's like I'm not quite where I'm headed yet, but I have kind of walked away from where I was. And I'm just in this process of being me and kind of allowing the universe to open doors and windows and show me kind of where to go, you know, what direction to follow. And beyond that, I'm listening to what feels good and feels like it resonates. But I'm kind of neither here nor there. But it's not bothering me at all. I know that like I'm on this journey to be me. Okay, and like if someone's gonna love me, it's gonna be for me, for real. This masculine, it feels as though this person may have said some things that stung, or that it's like, you know, you wonder how much a parrot thinks before they talk. Like they have this vocabulary and they have these phrases and they can say these things, but it's sort of, a lot of times I think it's things that they've been trained to say in response to things, or trained to feel, or, you know, they're mimicking something that they've seen, or they're mimicking, you know, something they believe is going to get them a treat, or, you know, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not really coming from a place of the heart, their communication. It's just, it's almost like thinking without saying something, or thinking I'll say something to get the biggest result or the biggest reward, or like a means to an end kind of energy I get from this. And it's kind of like they may have said something that was offensive without, I don't want to say that they didn't realize it, but I'm saying that they didn't think it through. And it didn't really come from an authentic, genuine place. They may have said something that wasn't really in alignment. But they're watching this feminine get away, and they are being called to communicate, to take action, to pursue, maybe to say something else. I definitely got that feeling when these two cards came out together. It's like wanting to clear something up, wanting to like alchemize something or explain something or say something. I got this reading yesterday too, this feeling in the reading. It's like you have the wrong idea, you have the wrong impression. Like, I know I led you there, like I can see how you got there or how you feel that way or why you think that, but like that wasn't coming from a genuine place within me. That's not really who I am. That's not really how I feel. Like, there was this need to clear the air. Then you have the deer spirit on the bottom of the deck, which is, you know, bring a gentle touch. And, you know, I feel like this is, I kind of want to say like this is more geared toward the masculine, but it's not, you know. If you want something to work out, this is the thing that just boggles my mind. You know, you'll see couples who, I mean, I've even had friends over the years who are couples who actually speak cruelly about each other, to each other. They kind of quote unquote like joke, but it's not very kind. And, you know, at least in the presence or company of others, you don't hear them say very many nice things. Or even like my girlfriends, you know, will go out for a girls' night or to grab a glass of wine and a pizza or whatever. And it's like they're complaining about their significant others. And it's almost as if, and people will always say to me, oh, well, we're not married to perfect people like you know, like they'll say that to me. And I'm like, my husband isn't perfect. He'll tell you flat out he's not perfect. And he's not perfect. I can tell you he's not perfect. But the thing is, you're not ever going to hear me complain about him. You're not ever going to hear me, you know, saying to my friends or to anybody like, oh, you know, I see this bad thing about him or this bad thing about him or that bad thing about him. One, because I'm genuinely and truly not looking for those things. And even as I say that, I can't really think of too many things that are bad about him. But the thing is, it's like also like if I were going to speak to anyone about that, like, you know, I think I've told you on this channel, I made this rule before we got married. I said to him, okay, I'll marry you, but I was a smoker, and I said I reserve the right to always smoke again. And you cannot complain about it. You cannot ask me to quit. You cannot complain about how much it costs or how it smells or anything about it, because it's a part of me at this point. It's an addiction, and I may decide to quit smoking, and I may not, you know, but like that is part of me. That's part of what you're getting, and I need you to accept that wholeheartedly, because our relationship won't work if you can't accept it. He did. He accepted it. And he lived true to his word. He never ever told me to quit smoking. He never complained about it. He never nothing. I did quit smoking of my own volition, right? Because, you know, for a million reasons. But it wasn't because he forced me to or even made me feel really bad about it ever, 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 ever. And then I told him, you'll always take the trash out and you'll always turn the lights off before bed and lock the door. And so those were my rules. And you know, he does an amazing job. He always has. I have never taken the trash out. I really rarely lock the door. Like every once in a while he'll forget. You know, and turn off the lights. But if he does forget, or if he lets the trash get higher than it usually does before he takes it out, I know I don't complain and I don't criticize him, because I actually know that what that is coming from is he's either exhausted, he either has a lot on his mind or a lot going on at work or in other aspects of his life, or, you know, he's going through something, he's processing something. And so I don't say, oh, let me jump down your throat because you didn't take the trash out, or because the lights are on and you went to bed, or you forgot to lock the door. I don't do that. I say, babe, what's wrong? What's up? What's going on? You know, I noticed that the trash is getting higher, or I noticed that you didn't lock the door, or you forgot these lights, or you left the TV on or something. And I'll say, what's up? You know, are you just exhausted, or is there something going on? Like, it's my cue to step up for him in the way that he steps up for me all the time. And I think sometimes, like, especially in today's world where things are happening so quickly and where so much is expected, and it feels like we don't have anything extra in our system to give to any kind of thing, it's much easier to be like blaming and to be like, you didn't take the trash out, you know, or to criticize, or to be like, I swear this man only has 3 jobs and, you know, he's not doing 2 of them right now, you know what I mean, or whatever, you know. And I hear my friends say things like that. I hear my friends say, all, you know, all manner of things about their spouses or boyfriends. But I have always sort of realized that love is not looking for the way in which we can criticize another person, but it's looking at a way in which we can deepen our connection with them through understanding, through compassion, and through empathy. And we cannot reach everyone, right? There are definitely people who are not seeking to reciprocate that toward us. One of the best parts in my relationship is that my husband always does the same for me. You know what I mean? My husband always seeks to understand me. He never seeks to criticize me. He never seeks to find fault in me, ever. And I am so incredibly grateful because, you know, I'm human and I have a lot of faults and a lot of flaws. And there are definitely people in my life who have capitalized on pointing them out to me as often as they can. And my husband is not on that list. And I just, that's why I think I feel I hit the lottery. One of the many reasons. But the thing is, bring a gentle touch with the deer on the bottom of the deck. It is in remembering that we're on the same team. You know, if we're a couple, it's us against everything outside of us. It's not me against you. And I think in today's world, a lot of times couples also have this idea that it's like, one of us is going to be the winner and one of us is going to be the loser. And I don't want to be the loser. So I'm going to look for every fault you have. I'm going to hold on to everything that you ever did wrong, so that if push comes to shove and I have to prove my case that I'm the better person here, or that, you know, I was always right and you were always wrong, I'm going to have the ammo to do that. And that, I mean, if you're going to take that approach, or if you're going to have that attitude or that energy toward it, then, you know, don't do it, because first of all, it's not going to work. And second of all, it is going to have a ripple effect on so many freaking other people. It's horrible. That's how my mom was to my dad. I mean, it was just constant. I mean, she literally told us the worst thing that we could be is a relative of my dad. And hello, we were his children. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, don't do that. That's just not good. But anyway, what I see here is someone who has either been exposed to that mentality, or someone who, when they get defensive or backed into a corner, like that's how I'm seeing it, is like backed into a corner and then getting defensive. It's like they'll say anything to get out of the corner. And it may not be, you know, a reflection of what they really feel or think. But, you know, words are powerful and you can't take them back. You know, you can apologize for them. You can try to prove that that's not really how you feel, but you can't take them back. And it feels like this period is like, oh, hang on, wait a minute. That was mindless speak. That was just me, you know, saying what I've heard, or, you know, being like how I have seen other people be. Or do you see what I'm saying? It's me mimicking what I know, or maybe what I experienced growing up, or, you know, what I learned about when you're backed into a corner, how you get out of it, or whatever. It wasn't my genuine how I feel. It's just kind of a result of where I was at, you know, and I know it stung. Yeah. I do feel like it is forcing this masculine energy to dive deeper into their own authenticity, to admit or acknowledge, like, even where this comes from. Arguments are a way of growing deeper intimacy. They're not all bad. Conflict, it can be a good thing if it's done right, Oh. Oh. Yeah. This has been a very sobering experience for this masculine. Yeah. It's one thing when you, have a conversation and you're in your authenticity and you're saying, you're speaking your truth. When you walk away from a conversation like that, you're like, well, I did the best I could. I said how I truly feel. I asked for what I needed. I said what I needed to say. You can come to a place of peace and acceptance with the result of it, because you lived and died by your own sword. Well, when you don't do that, right, and it ends up costing you something that you hold very near and dear to your heart, especially, it's really hard to find a place of peace and acceptance with it, right? It's really hard because you're like, I don't even know why I said that. I don't even know why I did that. Like, that's not what I was thinking. That's not how I was feeling. That's not me. And then you also have to live with what the other person may be feeling or what they may be thinking, and that you quite possibly made someone that you care about really hurt, and you have to sit with that. Now, Carl Jung or Carl Jung or whoever you want to say, it's like, he says that people will go to great lengths to avoid like who they actually are, or like looking in the mirror kind of energy. I don't know what the quote is exactly, but and they do, and they will, right? So, not everyone is going to have, like, not everyone is going to let the reality permeate they're not going to let themselves look bad in their own eyes, or they're not going to sit with the actual truth. They're not going to take accountability. There it is. That's the word. And so, right, they're not going to grow from that experience, right? They're going to continue on, and they're going to tell themselves that they have no fault or no flaw, or, they're going to tell themselves whatever they need to tell themselves. They're going to change reality. They're going to shift what happened. They're going to change the narrative in order to appease themselves. And there's nothing you can do about that. That person's not ready for growth, or they're not seeking growth, or they're not seeking to, they're not seeking enlightenment in this life. They're seeking to keep their ego stable and happy and satisfied and content. And that's it. So you're not going to reach someone like that. But someone who is introspective, someone who genuinely cares, someone who genuinely has real feelings, and even if they don't generally live the approach of like, I'm looking to grow, I'm looking to expand, I'm looking to be enlightened in this life. Even if they don't have that, if they have, if they have real feelings, and they don't want to lose you, and they are somewhat open, or yeah, I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm not going to get real nuanced into it. I'm being guided that direction. Then there's hope, right? That if they go off by themselves and they look at what happened and they look at what's said, and they're genuinely honest, and they sit with themselves and they say, well, this is what you said. Does this align with what you feel? And is that what's making you kind of feel this new sense of conflict, or this wave of shame or guilt? there's hope for them, because in order to release themselves from the shame and the guilt, they can apologize, right? They can try to make amends. And I definitely feel that awakening within this person. You have this clarity, and it says outsider and it says divine push. And what this is saying to me is that this person is getting clarity as you're walking away, and as they're starting to feel like an outsider in your life, that they don't actually have the inside track with you. They don't actually, you know, have a closeness with you to know what's going on in your mind, where you're at, what's going on. You know, it's like they're just like everybody else. With this investigating card, it's even giving me this vibe of like they're watching you on social media and sort of understanding that like they're getting the same, you know, arm's length distance view of your life or what's going on with you that everybody else is getting. Like even basically perfect strangers, people whose names they don't even recognize or they've never met, you know, they have the same access to you as they do. Do you understand what I mean? And it's this person needed to go through this. They needed to learn whatever this lesson is. And that opportunity for this kind of growth for their soul, you know, you are a soulmate to this person, because you are the breaking free, you know, if you're the feminine, of this opportunity for them to actually sit with themselves and to actually say, man, sometimes I say things that are not really in alignment with what I want or how I feel. And why do I do that? Oh, I do that to protect myself. Why do I feel the need to protect myself? Oh, because I care, and because I'm feeling vulnerable, or I'm feeling pushed into a corner, or I'm feeling, you know, however they were feeling. That's when I react that way. That's when I lash out. That's when I say things I don't mean. You know what I'm saying? And they're starting to get a new perspective, and they're really struggling. I mean, you can see this person. I keep feeling the energy of someone who's running while drinking beer. So I don't know, like, that is a very odd juxtaposition. I wouldn't say that this person is necessarily running in this card, but I keep getting this hill, maybe even running up a hill or running up a mountain. So I don't know, like, if your person is a runner, they may not have even been a runner, but it may be that they've like started running or taken up running or taken up walking or something like that as a way to help them. Like, when our body is moving, the energy within us is really flowing, and our mind kind of can flow more freely. So and we can release things that have been sort of stagnant and stuck when we are actually physically moving. So I don't know what that is about, but I keep getting that vibe. So just take that as it resonates. But you know, when you're doing something that's bad for you while doing something that's good for you, or like there's this juxtaposition, it's kind of giving me, this is the external manifestation of what's going on internally, the conflict that resides within this person, where it's like they're trying to heal, they're trying to get better, but they still have some bad habits, or they still do things that sort of cut themselves down. So they may be open to learning, but then they may also be very self-critical. They may be really beating themselves up about this or about doing this, or really holding on to the shame and guilt, saying that they, you know, deserve to feel that way, or even being afraid to release shame or guilt because then it would be like we didn't learn our lesson, or that we were just sort of letting ourselves off the hook, or that we weren't truly taking accountability for our action. There's just this energy of I really wish I could show you what is happening in my office right now. I lit an incense right before we started this reading, and I have like an upside down incense holder. It's like a, I don't know what you call it, but it like holds the stick upside down and the smoke goes up to the top. Well, all the smoke kind of is like pulling in one area right over this corner of my desk over here. And it's just sort of hanging out, but then there's like this updraft that is where it's all coming around to this one point and then like gently releasing upward. It's just wild looking. It's beautiful. But it feels so spiritual, and I don't always have incense lit, so it's just interesting. Anyway, I tell you guys all this because there could be relevance there. But anyway, this person is cruising for a rebirth, and rebirth comes through honesty with your soul. You know, rebirth also comes from choosing your soul over your ego. You know, choosing love over fear, saying, you know what, I'm going to be better off if I face this, if I look at this, if I deal with this, if I sit with this, rather than if I ignore this or pretend this didn't happen or pretend it's not my fault or shift reality or shift the narrative to fit what my ego wants, which is for me to not be wrong here, you know? So there's definitely a shift happening, and it is definitely happening for a reason. And this person is definitely starting to get a new perspective. There is this freeing thing that happens, right? When you realize that you can heal, like when you realize you are not stuck being one way, you can be however you want to be. You are lovable exactly as you are, but if there are things about yourself, like you say things you don't mean when you're mad or you're angry or you're upset or you're backed into a corner, then as humans, it's just such a beautiful thing that we have these brains and these free thinking, and we have free will and free choice, and we can say, okay, but you know what? I can learn from this, and when I learn from this, then I can do better. And when I do better, I set myself free from this. When I do better, I can be proud, not only because I don't do that, but because I don't do that anymore, because I grew, because I made the choice not to do that anymore. So you truly can release yourself. And that is such a freeing, liberating, you know, situation. Okay. Yeah, I felt this. I feel like this feminine is kind of like, not again. You know, why? Why am I always having to walk away from things? Why aren't things working out for me? Why am I always having to kind of love myself? This feminine energy, I feel like they struggle with toxic relationships. And with the codependent, you know, it's kind of making me feel like, you know, when you really just want connection and you just really want to be in a relationship because you're craving connection, or because you just want to believe and you just want to have hope, and you just, you know, maybe you want to have kids, maybe you just want to have someone to go to the farmer's market with on Saturday, or, you know, I don't know, you know, you just want that close companion that you can tell everything to. And so you find something close, you find something you're attracted to, you find something, or, you know, someone that you have something in common with, or you, there's enough there that you think, okay, well, maybe, like, I even have this intuitive feeling that this isn't my person, but, or that they're not ready, or that, you know, maybe they're saying they don't want a relationship, but they're really attracted to me, or they're really chasing me hard, or, you know, maybe then I can, you know, alchemize that into more. And then there's this confused feeling and this purging feeling where it's like, no matter what, no matter how I try to alchemize it, it doesn't work. And I'm so confused. I don't understand why it doesn't work out for me. I don't understand why I'm always alone, and then I'm exhausted because I put so much of myself into the situation, or gave so much of myself to it, or whatever, however it is. And then I have to wade through my own emotions, and I have to let go. And I've invested so much of myself in it that it feels like a major loss, and it feels so draining because I just gave everything I had to this thing, and I put other things to the side, including myself, in order to make it work or whatever. And so there's this energy of I'm not gonna let that happen again. And I feel that's why this feminine energy is heading in the other direction, because this feminine energy is like, okay, say less. You know, I gave you everything that I had to give, everything that I was willing to give you at the time, or whatever, the chance, whatever it was. And if that's what you're going to say to me, and then I'm going to believe you. I'm going to take it at face value, and I'm not going to try to stand here and alchemize it. I'm not going to try to stand here and see where, you know, you don't really mean what you're saying. Or, you know, even if my intuition is telling me you don't mean what you're saying, that's not how you really feel. You know what? If that's what you're going to say to me, then guess what? I'm going to believe it. I'm just going to take it at face value. I'm moving in the other direction. I'm not wasting my time here. I'm not going to try to put everything I have into alchemizing this, into turning it into something different or something more. I'm just going to take you at your word. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to move on. This feminine has really learned to love herself, and she is confident, and she is this boss material. Like I'm not going to sacrifice that. I'm not going to put that on the line. I'm not going to stick around to get to the place where you have me questioning myself and everything else. I'm moving on. You know, I know when it's time to go. But I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed that yet again, it didn't work. But I'm taking my power back, and I'm doing the only self-respecting thing that someone who knows their value and their worth can do, and that is walk away. Let's get some information on this connection. Yeah, we have confusion. I feel unclear about where we stand. Time, I'm afraid it's too late to take action. Reciprocity, I want to have an equal give and take. And secrets, I haven't told you everything. And then on the bottom of the deck, it's understanding. I see your side of the story. I feel with these two energies, this one is trying to explain their side of the story, and this one is someone who inherently is willing to see this side of the story, but this person has to be compelling. And when I say compelling, I mean authentic, and I mean they have to be vulnerable. They have to say what they haven't been willing to say. They have to get it out. They have to be really honest. They have to be able to be willing and able to clear up the confusion that this person has based on what they experienced with this person. I don't think it's too late. I really don't think it's too late yet, but I do think that there has to be a lot of honesty here. All right, let's dive into this masculines. Let's see what they're thinking first. What is the masculine thinking? Wow. A lot, apparently. Yeah, they got defensive. This person got defensive and they acted recklessly. Like they took action without thinking about it, without thinking the long-term plan. It was just, and a knife cuts like a knife. What? A knife cuts like a knife, you guys. They lashed out with their words. It's like, I feel this conflict and I lash out. It may not have even really been a conflict. It may have been this person sensing that possibly a conflict within themselves was going to be exposed, or that there was going to be drama and chaos. So, or it's kind of like, I'll break up with you before you can break up with me sort of energy, possibly. But this person took swift action without having any plan or any forethought or thinking about it at all. They acted recklessly. It was like a self-preservation reaction. They've had some time to think about it. They've had some time to think about what they want and what they're willing to do about it. They have also had some time to learn a spiritual lesson. And with the 9 of Wands, I'm going to clarify it. Okay. Very clear clarification. Glad I did that. I almost said, you know, they haven't let go of this. They haven't stopped desiring this. Like, it may have even made them desire it more, because not everyone can elicit that response from you. You don't have deep enough feelings or deep enough care for everyone to kind of face the shadowier parts of yourself. To, you know, facing the truth about ourselves is never easy. It really isn't, you know, and, you know, especially when it comes to our own growth, and especially when it comes to actions we're not proud of, or things that we could feel shame about or guilt about, you know, because maybe we said something we didn't mean, or we hurt someone else. You know, those are really difficult things to take accountability for, like I said. And it's like, I feel this person feels that they are changing, and that potentially their fate is changing, or what they can hope for their future is changing because of this connection. And I think that they're recognizing how learning this lesson through this connection is affecting them, and how it was time for them to really learn this lesson. It almost feels like a maturation process. And, you know, when you think about maturity, I think you think about, you know, teenagers, 20-year-olds, like in that energy. But honestly, we're always still maturing. We always have the capacity to do better, or to be more, there's so many phrases that are coming to my mind, and none of them are what I'm looking for. It's like, we always have, you know, in my mind, maturity is kind of taking a beat before we react. It's like sitting there and saying, where is this desire to react coming from? Is this a desire to react, first of all? Then, okay, where is it coming from? Is it merited? Is it warranted? You know, sometimes it is, and it is the best course of action, right? But it becomes a response when you choose it, rather than when, you know, you let the cat out of the bag, and then you're like, oh shoot, that wasn't good that I reacted that way. Let me try to get the cat back in the bag. It's like, no, when you take that pause and you take the breath and you ask yourself, you know, what is this? What am I feeling? Where is it coming from? Is this something that I need to respond to right now? Or is this something that I can just take a breath from, you know, and wiser heads will prevail, you know? That's maturity. It's like choosing our response. And I feel like, you know, with the Six of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune and the Eight of Cups with the Nine of Wands, this is that taking a beat. It's like, okay, my defenses have gone up, but what is the result I'm looking for? Am I really willing to lose this situation? Am I trying to do I need to move away from the situation in order to have peace? Or is it something that's really important to me that I still really desire, and I desire an outcome where we can be together? So I need to be measured in my response. I need to think of the outcome that I really want here and respond appropriately. Choose my response that matches that. That's going to get me that result, you know? And I feel this person is changing. I feel they're evolving. I feel like this is, you know, part of their life path. It is part of, you know, something that they're definitely meant to learn here. For whatever reason, I keep getting the sign of Aries. You know, I don't know if it's the King of Wands sitting on the top up there, but like, you know, and Aries is that sort of like hot-headed, you know, what we learn from Aries is to be brave and to like take action and to not let things hold us back. But it feels like here it's like cooling your jets here for a second and saying, okay, action may need to be taken. I'm not taking action. I'm just pausing it until I'm choosing that action with my highest and best, you know? And so there's something here where there is an evolutionary process, and it may be giving this connection a brand new opportunity with the Ace of Cups. I do feel like this person really hasn't given up on having another chance, another crack at it. But they have been healing, and there has been silence. You have the Four of Swords with the King of Wands, and the only thing that has happened in the silence and in the space is that this person has grown to maybe even want this more, or to be more sure about it, more at peace with it. All right, what is in their heart space? What is in their heart space? What is in their heart space? Wow, damn. You have the Three of Swords with the Queen of Wands in reverse, with Judgment, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Ten of Wands. Wow. With the Six of Pentacles. Damn. So in this person's heart space, they're heartbroken. They feel like they lost their heart's desire. You know, with the Queen of Wands being in reverse, it's like they feel like you don't want them anymore, or that, you know, they're suffering because they have lost you. You know, the sun, I see the sunflower here peeking out from underneath this Ten of Wands, and it's kind of like, you know, when the sun goes behind a cloud, or, you know, I don't know, when it's cold and windy, but you can still, the sun is still out and it's on your face, and you feel it warming you, and you're like, wow, it's not too bad as long as the sun's out, right? And then the sun goes behind a cloud, and it's like, you know, it's miserable without the sun. Well, that exact illustration is what I'm getting here with this Three of Swords and the Queen of Wands in reverse. It's like, I don't know, you know, my life isn't perfect, or, you know, things are still hard, or things are, you know, whatever, but it's like it's like all very manageable because the sun is out, you know, because I'm happy, because I have this person in my life, and because having this person in my life just generally makes me feel better. It makes my heart be at peace. And so when the sun goes behind that cloud, it's like, oh man, I feel I'm back to where I was before, and I don't like it. I'm suffering. You know, before the sun comes out, right, you kind of get used to it. You kind of tell yourself, well, this is what it is, and I just have to grin and bear it, and I have to get through it, you know? But then the sun comes out and it eases the suffering, right? And then when you go back to the blustery weather without the sun, and you know what it felt like to be in the sun, it's more miserable, even if it's the exact same as before you ever experienced the sun, because you experienced the sun and you got used to the sun, and the sun felt really good, and it eased your burden, and it eased your suffering, and it just felt nice, you know, everything was bearable. And so to now return to something that's unbearable after you have experienced something different, it's much harder. It's a much greater burden. This person really wants to reconcile in their heart space, and they're working very hard for that. They're really looking at what's in front of them, and they're really looking at the changes that they can make and the things that they can, the Eight of Pentacles is all about mastering the self, right? And it's about, it's not about making your ship perfect or the best ship out there. It's about learning your ship so that you know how to sail it to the best of your abilities, so that you get the most out of it. And that's what I feel like this person is doing. It's like, hold on a minute. Let me look at myself. Let me sit with myself. Let me look at the truth of myself. Let me look at the truth of what happened here. Let me let those deep understandings of myself pour forward so that I can understand what I'm dealing with, so that I can, I don't want to say necessarily change, but so that I can, even in times of trouble or even in times of difficulty, sail my ship in a way that I'm proud of, and with the Judgment here, it's rising above our lower vibrational tendencies in some ways. It's getting another chance at something that, we sort of thought, sometimes we tell ourselves, well, that's just the way I am. I can't really change that. Well, this Judgment in the Eight of Pentacles is making me feel like, well, I can either tell myself that and have that, or I can work on this, master myself, and then have another chance with this situation, potentially. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, I can either have that excuse and hold that excuse late at night, or I can fix it and I can try to have this person to hold on to, this sun, you know what I mean? But it's with the Six of Pentacles, it's kind of like I have to be able and willing to give back what someone else is giving to me. And I can't do that until I master myself. Wow, yeah, this person really, in their heart, they want to communicate. Guys, Honey Beckett, lay down. Lay down. Let me see what actions they're going to do. Honey, place. Chaos is erupting. Chaos. Oh my goodness. Somebody knocked something over. All right, the actions. Oh, wow. Man, this is heavy duty energy. Bex, lay down. Come on, baby. Lay down. What happened? You scared yourself. I bet you're the one that knocked it over. Lay down. Good job. Good girl. Bhakti, take a break. You can just relax. I think we're safe today. I don't think we need so much protection. Yeah, I think you could take a nap. Do you want to take a nap? Just lay down, babe. They got all wound up about something. You have the Page of Swords, you have the Universe, which is the World card energy. You have the Eight of Cups, you have the Death, and you have the Nine of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. I feel like Pisces, this is you doing you and them watching with the Page of Swords. It's like they're seeing you in your full glory, in your abundance, maybe even having other opportunities around you. You may not necessarily be interested in them or picking them up or doing anything with them, but they're there. And this person is kind of watching it. And I feel there is this energy, especially with the World card, the Death, and the Eight of Cups, where, there's this acknowledgement that it's over. You're not focused on them. You're not still over there trying to make it work. You're not reaching out to them. You're not coddling them. You're not trying to fix it. And my mom used to tell me this all the time when I was a kid. If it is to be, it's up to me. Like, I have to make something happen. If something's going to happen here, it's going to be because I make it happen. And they're kind of, that's what they're facing right now. They're sitting with this. They're like, if it is to be, it's up to me. Like, I'm going to have to step into my power and make some serious choices here. I'm going to have to reach out. I'm going to have to be the one to bridge this gap. All the energy is moving away from this person. So there's, or there's this vast expanse of nothingness, and it's silence. I don't think you're reaching out to them. I don't think you're particularly talking to them. Let me clarify this death card. What is the death card for Pisces? Wow. This has been a very transformative process for this person, this connection. They are definitely seeing that you are a soulmate, that you have definitely changed them, that they are definitely not the same, nor could they possibly be the same person that they were before they met you. That, their encounter with you has maybe even been one of the biggest catalysts of change ever in their entire lives. You've exposed to them their own way of thinking that was self-defeating, and that, brought about this ending. And even their words, or their what they said that wasn't in alignment. This energy of like, one of us is a winner and one of us is a loser, and I'm not going to be the loser here. Kind of energy that can definitely be the Five of Swords, right? And, sometimes we unknowingly sort of adopt the way our parents did things, or the way things have been modeled for us. That was our example, and that's all we know. So we take it on. I definitely had this in me when I got married, because it's all I've ever known my entire life. And I knew that I didn't want to be that way, but at the same time, I didn't know any other way to be, and so, I learned because I wanted to learn. I learned because I wanted to be different, and because I didn't want what my parents had, and I didn't want to be like my mom. I mean, that is like, please don't ever say, you're turning out just like your mother to me. That would be a fate worse than death. But there's an energy here of, the Hanged One is enlightenment. It is that sense of clarity. And it is like, I don't have to be this way. I can be different. I can make a different choice. I can say, hey, I messed up. I said these things. I didn't mean it. It was coming from this energy. I don't like this energy. I'm not proud of this energy. When I look back, I realize, when I look at where this is coming from, it's coming from this place. It's coming from, this is all I know. This is all I've seen, or, whatever. I've had to say that many times, in my marriage, like, oh crap, well, that's a relic from the past. But at the same time, I own it. I have to, in order to change it, in order to not ever do it again. And then I have to work like hell to never do it again, and it's not easy. You got to rewire your brain, and that's a constant choice every single day. Yeah. Luckily, I married a Taurus. So, you know what? Wow, I was going to dive into the feminine energy, but now I really want to clarify the Eight of Cups. Because the Eight of Cups can also be walking away from a way of always having done things in order to release yourself from not ever really feeling true emotional contentment. So that you can. Wow. Oh my God. And that's what's happening here. You have to want something different in order to to do what has to be done. And it's never easy walking away from 8 cups. 8 cups is so close to 9 cups, and it's so close to 10 cups, you know, that it can feel. But it's that energy that's like, I'm so close to being content, but, and it's the big but, you know what I mean? You can't move on the way that you are. You have to completely walk away from that way of being, that way of doing, that connection, that relationship, those people, that life, whatever it is, so that you can walk toward your 9 cups, your emotional contentment on your own. Like this, my 8 of Cups moment was walking away from my entire family and just being like, okay, there's no way that I can experience emotional contentment and be in connection with you. And so I've tried to express this. I've tried to sit down and explain this. I've done everything that I can possibly think of to avoid this, and I cannot avoid it. It is unavoidable. It has become crystal clear to me, and there is no way. And so I am walking away. I am turning my back. I am not looking back because I recognize the limitation of this, and I'm not willing to accept it. I deserve emotional contentment in my own life, and I'm the only person that can get that for myself. And this is part of that process. And it feels very much like that's what this person is going through. You have literally the 6 of Cups and the 3 of Cups here. This is that's 9. 6 and 3 is 9, right? And this person is saying, I want it enough. And the Ace of Wands is also tied to our soul purpose. And we've seen that Wheel of Fortune in this reading. And there is this sense of this is happening for a reason. And this is a deep soul connection that came into this person's life and woke them up, was the opportunity for the reflection point that was able to show this person in a way where they could actually choose to make meaningful change about it, you know? And so they're now having this opportunity to move toward something that does make them emotionally content. With the 6 of Cups, this could be this past relationship. And with the 3 of Cups, that can be a reconciliation, but it's always a celebration, right? So they're making this choice for themselves to walk away. And it's based on knowing what they want and seeing the opportunity for it, and knowing that they have to give something else up in order to be able to reach out and grab it. All right, so let's look at the feminine. What is happening in the feminine's mind? Oh. Okay, so the feminine is aware that a bad decision, a bad choice was made. And it led to the feminine suffering. It's led to a lot of suffering. Oh, damn. Look at this, the mirroring here. So the feminine has the 5 of Swords in reverse and the 8 of Cups upright. She's like, I cannot be happy in a situation that is like this. I'm going to take this person at their value. I with the 5 of Swords being in reverse, it is like, I actually think the feminine understands that these words are not in alignment with this person, but it hurts all the same. It creates suffering all the same. And even if I can tell myself, well, that's not really how they feel, or that's not really what they meant, or they didn't really mean to do that, it really doesn't matter. That's what's been said, that's what's been done, and that's what's been left on the table. And so this feminine, in her head, she's got no choice but to kind of walk away from a situation, because she's understanding she's not going to feel contentment until she does. She won't be able to. She's got to find her own contentment. She's got to go after what is going to make her happy. And it's not going to make, whatever this person has said, whatever this person has done, whatever decision was made that was upside down and backwards and fucked up, you know, she just has to accept it. She can't sit here and tell herself all the ways in which it isn't true. It just is what it is. And she's not going to stand there just like waiting. You know, that's not what she wants. That's not where her contentment is going to come from. She's got to have the courage to go for her own emotional contentment here. She does, I feel like, though, with the Judgment, want a reconciliation. You know, she wants it to be different. But it's like, I can want all I want for it to be different, but it is what it is. Yeah, see, in her heart of hearts, that 9 of Cups is what's important. She's not sacrificing that. Look at that. The King of Cups is crossed over by the Sun sideways. Damn. She's like, I've got to take accountability for my own heart here. I cannot, I let someone else in. I opened up, I gave a part of myself to them, or I let them hold my heart and they mistreated it. They did not do what was best or right for it. And I have to just accept that. This person, this feminine, is in an energy of knowing strongly what they want and being willing to go after it, but also understanding that oh God. This is that kind of brutal energy where it's like, I really want it to be this person. But what I know is that I just want a soulmate that's able to like reciprocate and come into alignment with me and want what I want and give what I give. And it's like, I don't want another person that has deep feelings for me, but hasn't healed and hasn't found clarity and can't accept happiness and can't open up to receive what I'm offering them. You know, and so there's this, I have to take control of my heart. I have to prioritize my own emotional contentment and well-being over everything else. But this heart is a fool for this other person in its own way. It's like, man, you say the word and I'm going to take a full leap of faith. You let me know that you're ready and that you're there. And man, I'm taking the full on leap of faith. I will go full on, no parachute, free falling from 25,000 feet. I'll do it for you. Like I can feel this in my heart chakra. Look, this feminine is determined for a dream, you know. You have the 10 of Cups here, the Star card, and the 4 of Cups. It's like they've taken a licking, but they keep on ticking. It's like, I'm not giving up on having emotional contentment with another person. This is what I really, really wish for. Life keeps disappointing me. I keep getting let down. I keep getting upset. But if I rise every time I fall, if I get back up, I put that crown back on my head and I keep going, and I don't muck about, I don't totally destroy myself trying to alchemize something that doesn't work into something that does, I'll be okay. I'll eventually get there. I'll eventually find it, because my faith in the universe is that deep. I know there is someone out there. I'm hearing that song. I know you're out there somewhere. It's Moody Blues. You know, it's like, I just know, for whatever reason, oh my God, what is that? It's like An American Tail. It's a movie with a mouse. I'm seeing the cover of that movie. What in the world? My God, I haven't thought about that movie in a very long time. I have no idea. I don't know, maybe that's relevant to someone. What? I don't even know what it's about. Oh my God. Sometimes I'm just, all right, I'll say it. There you go. But this is this person's ultimate decision, is that I'm going to do what's best for me. I'm prioritizing myself. I'm, you know, like, man, do I want it to be this person, and man, is my heart a fool for this person. And I know what I would do for that person to say the word, for that person to show up, for that person to not be the person that just disappointed me and devastated me. Even though I know maybe that's not what they meant to say, maybe that's not the action they meant to take, whatever the case may be. What I would give for all of that to be true. But I have to just accept things the way that they are. And I have to know that what I want is a worthy cause, and it's something I deserve, and it's something that the universe will give to me, will put in my path if I keep choosing myself. So that's what I'm going to do. Wow. All right. So let me get you some message cards. Okay. If you're dealing with a water sign, you're getting protector. I saw a meme on Instagram that it said, every empath or every healer needs to find a protector. And that just reminded me of that. Okay, you're getting, it's not who you want to spend Friday night with. It's who you want to spend all day Saturday with. Friends with benefits. If you are dealing with a fire sign, you are getting guarded, champion. To me, you are perfect. If you're dealing with an earth sign, you are getting trust. And you are getting, you are the perfect verse over a tight beat, brown sugar. Okay, if you're dealing with an air sign, you are getting make the move, sacrifices, romance, and I love you. I knew it the minute I met you. I'm sorry it took so long for me to catch up. I just got stuck. Silver Linings Playbook. All right, guys, this is what I have for you today. I hope it helps. I hope it brings you some peace and clarity. And I love you. I love you. I love you. Until next time, all my best. Always, always, always. Bye-bye.